Hey, what's up, world? It's your man Champ here, and today I'm going to go over one of arguably the biggest topics, one of the biggest debates in the financial world today, which is renting a house as opposed to buying a house. Now, I'm not going to pick sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare and contrast the two. So I'm going to give you a list of things from a buyer's perspective, and I'm going to give you a list of things from a renter's perspective, and the similarities between the two, and I'm going to allow you to choose and decide for yourself. Now, let's get right into it. Buying a home, buying a house. Typically, when you buy a house, you want to have at least 3.5% down for a conventional mortgage. So let's say the house is worth $100,000. You want to have at least $3,500 down to put down towards the down payment. Now, there are some programs or some cases where you can buy a house with 0% down. Now, let's go over to the renter side of the equation. On the renter side of the equation, you'll have to have the first month's rent along with the security deposit. Now, I'm also learning and hearing that you'll need the first month's rent, the security deposit, along with the last month's rent. So that's something you may want to keep in mind too. And they both run credit checks. So if you want to buy a house or if you want to rent a house, they're both going to run a credit check for the most part. Another similarity between the two is the maintenance. The cost can be different for both situations. Now, if you own a house, of course, you're required to deal with all the maintenance. You're required to deal with the lawn. You're required to deal with the plumbing. If something breaks, if something goes wrong, you have to get that fixed. You have to take care of that on your own. On the other hand, if you're renting a place, you can go ahead and just call up your building's maintenance, or you can call up your landlord. And you can have it dealt with from that angle, from that perspective. Now, as far as buying is concerned, it's good for a long-term situation. So if you like your city, you love your city, if you figure you want to be there forever, buying would be good in this case, in this scenario. Renting is good for a short-term situation. So if you're in a situation where you're moving a lot, or you're not quite sure about your city, you're not quite sure about your career, or whatever it may be, renting may be what's best for you because it allows you the flexibility to be able to change things all of a sudden, as opposed to buying property or whatever it may be. Another advantage of buying a house or buying property would be building equity. Now, what is equity? Equity is what the property is worth minus what you owe. So let's say the property is valued at $100,000, but you only owe $75,000 on the house. The other $25,000 would be your equity, the equity that you have in the house. So if you sold that $100,000 house for $75,000, you paid the bank off the $75,000, you'll walk away with $25,000. That's your money. That's equity. Of course, if you're renting a house, you're not building any equity because it's not your house. It's not your shit. So you're not really building nothing. However, you do have the freedom aspect of it all. You have the freedom to build your credit, save money to build your credit, to get it in a position to buy a house or to get a better interest rate. If you're renting, you can be in a position to save money. You may want to save more money to buy a house because you don't want to buy a house broke. You don't want to buy a house without any money saved. That would be just kind of dumb. But back to the housing side of the equation. Houses typically appreciate. Appreciate means it goes up in value, and they're typically looked at as investments. Now, this is not always the case, but for the most part, when you buy a house, you're looking for it to go up in value, and you're looking at it as it's an investment. My personal opinion about that is I think that I kind of agree with Robert Kiyosaki view on it, which is the house is a liability until it's paid off or to generate some type of income for you. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day and a whole nother debate. Now let's get back on over to the renter's perspective of the equation. A lot of people can save money renting because they don't have to pay for maintenance. Now, when you get to save money from renting because you don't have to pay for maintenance, you can use that money for other things, like other investments. So that would be a good advantage of renting as well. Now, I'm going to get ready to wrap this video up, guys, and I'm going to run down a list of things from a buyer's perspective. You have the freedom to renovate. You don't have anyone, like if you want to paint your room green, You have the freedom to do that when you buy the property. If you want to knock holes in the wall or knock a wall down, you have the freedom to do that when you buy a property. Buying a property also comes with tax advantages. You have your privacy. You have the pride of home ownership. You can rent out a room, or you can actually rent out a house. I have a friend who lives in Maryland who bought a multi-unit house. He lives in one unit and he rents the other units out. He typically lives for free. So that's a good way to create some type of passive income. Now let's get on over to the renters, advantages of the renter's perspective. Renter's insurance is way cheaper than homeowners insurance. And you, like I said, you have the freedom aspect that is huge, because if you're a bachelor or you're a bachelorette, you may just want to rent a condo or apartment downtown or in a vibrant area, or you just want to just be on some kick it shit and you just want to have fun. You really don't too much care about paying the rent. That may be good for you or better for you in that case or that situation. Renting is also good for senior citizens. Like if you're of older age and maybe you don't want to deal with the maintenance of a house, like dealing with the yard work or cleaning the gutters or whatever, you may not want to deal with all that, so you may rent and just have the landlord or the building maintenance handle all that for you. And last but not least, another advantage of renting would be for business owners or someone whose job or career requires them to do a lot of traveling. So if you're across country, or if you're at a different country for weeks at a time, you may not want to you won't have the time, obviously, to deal with the maintenance. You won't have the time to deal with the yard work and all that stuff. So renting may be good for you or better for you in that position, or that situation. For me personally, I would, if I was in my 20s or 30s, I would rent first and then I would look on over to buy-in, because buy-in is a good situation that you want to be in if you're looking to build wealth, or if you're looking to just have a steady place to stay. Both are necessities, whether you renting or you buying. Everyone always needs a place to stay. Everyone always needs a place to lay their head and a roof over their head. My final take on buy-in, which is huge, is that when you buy in a house, you can pay the house off. So if or when you pay the house off, you can essentially live for free. You will have to pay the taxes and the insurance once every 6 months and keep up with the utilities and the maintenance every month, and you'll essentially be living rent and mortgage free. And that would save you a lot of money, and money which is money that you can use to invest or save. So to each his own. You could decide what works best for you. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll get at you next time. Thanks, guys.